Hey guys, it's Nicole here back with another video. I hope you're all well and keeping safe. Now I know a lot of you guys are picking your university halls right now or doing a bit of research to get a better understanding as to where you'd want to stay in your halls. You're not sure what factors to consider, you're not sure how to pick your first from your second. So I'm going to be sharing some tips, some 5 easy steps which I think you should take in order to pick the right university halls for you. I, of all people, can understand how stressful and confusing it may be picking your accommodation. You want to make sure you get the right one, you don't know what to consider, you don't know what to think about. I was there not long ago, so I completely understand. It's so important because essentially it's setting the foundations for your social experience, your living environment. It's your first year and I know that you want to do it right. So if you want to find out how to end up picking the right halls for you, keep watching. Before I begin, please make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already and give this video a massive thumbs up. It would mean the absolute world to me. The first point which I think you should consider, which is the basic point, is the cost. How much is the halls? Am I getting a student loan? How much can the student loan cover the cost? These are things that I know they sound pretty simple, but a lot of people don't think about it. You need to think, A, am I getting a student loan? B, how much student loan am I getting? And you can find that out online. Will it cover the cost of my halls? As well as that, you're not just paying for halls, you're paying for living, you're paying for food and your other things, depending if you're self-catered or catered. So I think it's so important to factor in whether it is in your budget. Look at the tenancy agreement and how long you will be paying for that, you'll be paying that rent for, to make sure that you know how much it's going to cost at the end and how much the university would be expecting you to pay. Because I know a few people who got student loan, spent quite a lot of it and actually didn't realise how much the rent was for their halls, and then they got a massive sum and they were like, I literally don't know how I'm going to be paying all of this. So I definitely recommend budgeting, making a little plan and just organising yourself financially to see whether or not you have the finances to stay in that particular hall, and if not, look for halls that are in your budget. For those who are worried about financial hardships or things like that, I know a lot of different universities that offer scholarships, or they do things called hardship fund or something like that. So if that was something you were interested, I definitely recommend right now, while you have time to plan, emailing the university's finance team, doing a bit of research and seeing how they can essentially support you financially. The second thing to consider is location. Now, this is something to think about because you need to think, A, do you want to be able to roll out of bed and go to lectures on time? Do you want to be able to have that extra hour sleep in the morning instead of having to get up early because you're far away? Do you want to be close to the gym or the facilities? Do you want to be close to your lecture theatre? So these are things to factor and to bear in mind. So I definitely recommend, if you know your faculty building, to have a little Google Maps of the residence that you were interested in, and if that was something you were interested in, seeing how far it would take you to walk or bus and seeing if that was an actual issue for you. That way you can know, okay, right, it's a 20-minute bus ride from the halls that I'm interested in, I don't really mind. Alternatively, you can also see about your timetable and see whether or not you have any early morning starts. That may factor in where you actually do live in your first year, because if you don't start until the afternoons and you've got uni all after 12, you may not be as concerned about living in a close halls and getting there on time, for example. Alternatively, you may be big into sports and you may want to live near the sports facilities. So looking at the accommodation that's within maybe like a 10-15 minute walk from there, or the library, if you're particularly interested about getting a space in the library, how close are you? Is it far? Will you be able to get there early enough? It's kind of these things to bear in mind, and I know that for some people starting out they may not be an issue, but try and look ahead try and look ahead a couple weeks, a couple months, and see, will I still mind having to get up at 8 to get a bus for half an hour to get to uni on time after I've had a night out? That's another thing, is freshers, a lot of people go out in freshers. Will you mind having to get up and losing an hour of sleep when you've gone out the night before just to get to uni on time because you live far away? Are you someone who likes to be organised and not rushed and take your time in the morning? Would that hinder where you pick your halls? You know, if that's the case, you may want to be close. If you have, for example, a subject like medicine or engineering where you're in at 9 every day, you may want to be close so it gives you more time in the morning. These are things to consider. The third thing to bear in mind is whether it's catered or self-catered. Now with this, it's thinking about, if you are thinking catered, Does it cater for my dietary requirements? For example, if you have kosher or halal, does it cater for the types of food you're into? As well as this, is it a restricted, limited food timetable? So for example, I know in some halls they'll only give you breakfast and dinner Monday to Friday at a set time for an hour. Does that affect your timetable? For example, if you play sports in the afternoon, that may mean you miss dinner, which means you spend more money getting dinner. So these are things to bear in mind if you are choosing to be catered or self-catered. With catered, I definitely recommend having a look online and seeing the types of foods that they offer, if it's things that you like. For example, if you're a fussy eater, it's worth having a look, because you don't want to sign up for a catered hall. You get a catered hall, you go to uni and you're like, I literally don't like any of the food. For self-catered, do you mind cooking for yourselves? Are you someone who is used to other people cooking for you and then you don't want to go to uni and then have to cook for yourself? Or, you know, you like that routine of having a set dinner time? That is something to think about as well. I was self-catered in my first year and I really liked the flexibility of eating when I wanted. I could cook when I want. I could basically tailor my eating schedule to whatever my timetable was, and I just thought that was more chill. And for example, whenever I did societies in the evening, my friends would have to either rush from dinner, which was like 6 till 7, or rush to get back to dinner because it would only be for an hour, whereas I could just have dinner when I was ready, and I kind of liked that. But it just really depends on what you like. Because I know some people don't think about that, and some universities have specific eating hours and a limited menu, for example, where they don't give you lunch Monday to Friday, which means that you have to budget in spending more money on lunch when you're at uni, for example, or knowing that sometimes you won't get dinner in the afternoon because you're doing cricket or something, for example. So it's important to bear in mind. The fourth thing to bear in mind is the facilities. Now, I think this is important because, for example, say you used a wheelchair, you want to know that you can happily get in and out of your building, in the common room area, the communal areas, with ease, using a ramp, for example, or if there were specific bathrooms that you wanted, if you wanted an ensuite, if you wanted easy access showers, for example, it's really important to make sure that they have them, and you're researching to make sure that you are alleviating any extra stresses that come along with being a fresher. Do these types of rooms have easy access for wheelchairs, for example, or other things like that, just to make sure that you are covering all bases, not having any sort of like hidden worries and things that happen and just make the whole process a lot harder when coming to university for the first time. Now, the fifth thing to do is do your research. So if you are watching this video, this is basically what you are doing. You're doing your research, so well done to you. But I also recommend looking at reviews, looking at what people say about these halls. You know, sometimes they have reviews on the student room, YouTube like this, people speak about the halls, and just getting that honest review of what people's previous experiences have been like, because that can really tailor and shape your choice in picking the right halls for you. And naturally, if a halls has a bad reputation, you're not going to want to pick that. Or if it's not value for money, for example, you don't want to be blindsided by not checking the reviews and not seeing what people have to say about the halls, and then you get there and you don't enjoy it. That was all for my steps on how to pick the perfect university halls for you. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope these steps were helpful, and good luck in picking your accommodation halls, as I know a lot of people right now are sort of picking their halls for September or having an idea. So I hope that goes well and smoothly for you. And if you aren't already, make sure you subscribe, give this video a massive thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video.